So, all right, well, so do you want to pick the next topic?
Yeah, she can.
Okay. So these are, let me just give you a little brief overview. So this is a 5-volume series of books that I just published. Okay. It took me about 5 years to finish them. About 1 volume a year, but they all came out at once. They were supposed to be one book, and then it was just too big.
Right.
So they're a combination of almost 25 years of doing psychotherapy combined with the spiritual work that I've done and the teaching that's involved in that.
Okay.
And they're journaling based books, but they have chapters that are informational and relate to whatever the topic is, and then journaling exercises to ground the information and help people process it.
Okay.
So, and they get kind of progressively deeper, so you can take a look at them and see. So here's the topic, so we can read from I picked chapters that I liked. I'm a little biased. Spiritual chutzpah, love your spots, which is like a manifesting one. Only love is real. And wait, where's the metaphysical one? And a chapter on manifesting called Faith in Ladybugs.
I'm intrigued by that one.
The Faith in
Yeah.
Ladybugs?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. So this is in the book called Metaphysical Musings. Okay. And it's got metaphysical stuff is woven through all of it. But this one has a lot more focused stuff on metaphysics. Okay. All right. So, Faith in Ladybugs. And the quote is, "You are the beautiful sunshine that naturally attracts precious little ladybugs," by a friend of mine, Marta Shomelo. We are ever in a state of creating our life as a natural outpicturing of our innate power. Often we do this unknowingly or without much thought. Many chapters intend to make these hidden aspects more obvious, and Faith in Ladybugs adds to the list. Manifesting, putting our creative energy into action, occurs when we sustain our idea long enough to see it birthed. We manifest constantly through our conscious as well as our subconscious intent. Remember, intent is thought fueled by feelings and emotions. Intent builds our personal world, the things we have or don't have, the situations we walk through, and the relationships in our life, as we create moment by moment, projecting our energy that unfolds before us. Knowing the mechanics of manifesting informs us of the how and why of all that has occurred or is presenting itself in our life. To understand this, we begin by examining where we invest our energy. In other words, where are our thoughts and emotions joined in perfect chorus? Are we singing the songs of woe, worry, strife, discouragement, and negativity? Or are our melodies infused with love, forgiveness, abundance, understanding, respect, compassion, joy, and wisdom? Most likely, we operate with a combination of both extremes and with many degrees between as a collective whole. Regardless, where we place our focus and energy inextricably links to manifesting by our faith. Wherever you place your faith, that is where your strength will lie. In the channeled teachings of Archangel Gabriel, we are reminded of the power of faith. And while we often see that faith is merely the belief in a higher power that protects, guides, and loves, in truth, our faith is determined by the energetic whole of our intent and focus. It doesn't mean that we are absent of support, guidance, and infinite love. What it does speak to is our power, our personal use of our divinely inherited creative energy as an individualized aspect of Source. We use our creative nature to direct, influence, and express the life we desire by our faith. Our faith is wherever we decide to place it, in things, in people, in Source, in worry, in love, in the universe, in ice cream. That's hunger calling, sorry. How does the power of our faith work on a typical day? Let's take worry, for example. If we invest in worry, our faith lies in a general belief of our ability to manage situations by the energy we invest, trying to control circumstances, outcomes, people's behavior, or what we want from the universe, per se. With worry, our mental grinding to solve or fix something or someone is a reactive attempt to prevent a particular bad thing because we believe we're on our own with it or don't trust the universe or source to provide. Worry at its core is really praying for the things that we don't want in our lives. As we fret about situations we fear will happen, all the what-ifs our ego casts at our feet as proverbial bait keeps us trapped in negativity and fear. Remember, where we place our energy determines what we draw to us via the law of attraction. Energy placed in worry eventually manifests what we attempt to avoid as energy contorted into negativity through our creative abilities draws more negative to us in stressful, frustrating, turmoil-filled situations, people, and events. By using negative emotions like worry to prevent circumstances, we instead actively solicit them. If worry is a perfect example of manifesting what we don't want, what about actively manifesting the life-affirming, loving, and positive in our life? So the same faith applies, placing our energy in the heartfelt vision of what we desire, knowing that the universe provides according to our intent. Here our faith is knowing that what we desire is ours, though it may not yet be in our physical world. Because I too fall prey to the ego and worry, I decided to practice manifesting through consciously focusing my faith. Hatching a simple project that seemed fun and light, especially because no pressure existed to produce something attached to survival, I intended to manifest ladybugs. Don't ask me why, but that's why. So, now, I know you might think, oh, how can anybody manifest ladybugs? Ladybugs live in the world and they come and go as they please, and that's that. Well, using our creative powers, we can bring what we desire into our life, and yes, we can use that energy to serve the purpose of bringing ladybugs or various other critters to visit us. Late in the winter, when ladybugs hadn't made an appearance, this proved to be an exciting experience. So now, I love ladybugs and have always loved them, especially the symbolism of these creatures heralding a time of abundance and fulfillment of desires. Even the tiny decorative black marks on each indicate something valuable as the number of gifts coming to us. Knowing the great variation in markings, I began to wonder what the universe would provide. Maybe 12 or 9 or 7. Great numbers, I thought, and off I went. My journey started by entering morning meditation, where I imagined a ladybug, the beautiful red crest of its back dotted with perfect black specks that contrasted its bright white eyes. My heart connected with love and affection for these tiny crimson jewels, and I envisioned ladybugs everywhere, crawling on my walls and windows, printed in books, on cards, and sculpted as jewelry or figurines. Mind and heart merged, knowing and feeling, which is faith in action, that I would be graced with a grand ladybug deluge, and sure as a small child's faith in Santa's special delivery under the Christmas tree, as sure as I am that each morning this morning sun will grace the sky. My deep abiding gratitude and love for these little creatures permeated a consciousness beyond thought. I believed in and felt the power within me. Through faith in my higher self, I released expectations on any exact outcomes while holding to the original feeling thought, manifesting power, and opening to the universe's work. 2 days passed before the first signs of my project appeared. The ladybug adorned a student's decorative pin. A courier dressed in red and black paint, not breathing, but a sign nonetheless. I thanked the universe and stayed positive. Later that afternoon, a living version landed on my jacket. I felt like a kid on a treasure hunt, smiling ear to ear with ladybug fever. By the next afternoon, 15 ladybugs gathered in the sunshine inside my patio window, my world unfolding in kind with what I had asked. A serendipitous cosmic smile. 17 bugs totaled, with the 17 spots that decorated 2 of the scarlet gems I paused to count. Divine order, 17. I rested in the number and its symbolism. Learning how to consciously manifest in our lives is an important and powerful lesson. Truth dictates that we always create and manifest, if not from our clear conscious intentions, then from the mindset that lurks below the surface. The soul discovery we each navigate helps us shed our shadow self and activate the power of the positive uplifting spark that lies within us. You see, the key element of change in your life, in the world, is you. You make the difference. You hold more power than your brain can imagine. Yes, little old you can have the life you desire. You can be a beacon of light. Light is your core. You, the whole you, is a vessel of love, light, and goodness. Every loving thought, every act of compassion, every forgiveness, every kindness radiates from you into the world to affect everything and everyone, especially you. Remember, we are one, and any changes in your life affect the world. Yes, child of the universe, the world is at your fingertips. Go out there and get those ladybugs.
Nice.
Thank you.
Good choice, Gretchen.
Yeah. Go ahead, give you questions.
Well, I want to know what your background is in. Is it in psychotherapy?
So I was trained as a traditional psychotherapist
Okay.
in group psychotherapy.
Uh-huh.
And then a little over 11 years ago, I started intensely studying spirituality.
Okay.
And so then I learned to integrate them. There's a therapist where I started, well, Peter and I both have studied. Melissa's been to some retreats too, where he does a lot of integrated psychospiritual work. And so I was working with him and doing some study, but a lot of it was like integrating it on my own and just navigating through it. So it's very blended.
Yeah.
Depending on what people want. Now, some people will come to me, they don't want any of that material because it's incongruent, and so I stick with traditional stuff. So, but that's my background. So, yeah.
So do they know that that's another approach that they can take, your clients can take if they choose to? Or
yeah,
or
so
do you just go through the process with them to see where
they are?
Yeah.
It depends. So a lot of times I'll encourage people to read stuff on my website because it might be a safer place for them to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the people that I treat come from referrals.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes they're just purely traditional referrals and sometimes they're the other. And usually I just try to tune in to what's resonant with them. And sometimes I've been able to actually cross over in what I call like the mild metaphysical into meditation and a little bit of protection work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll basically answer any questions that anybody has as best I can. And just usually intuitively it'll come. I can tiptoe into it. Some people are just ready full on for it. It depends. So, yeah.
So how does psychotherapy compare to, because one of my closest friends is a psychologist.
Okay.
So what is psychotherapy exactly? I've been to psychologists in the past.
It's not different in the sense that they're just different fields of psychotherapy. So psychologists use psychotherapy. Counselors, so the difference between, there are different modalities of treatment. There's different arenas in terms of, just like in medicine, there's different avenues that you can approach treatment, right? So there's ones that are more cognitive based. Mm-hmm. There's other things that are a lot deeper in terms of getting into families of origin. There's systems work, which kind of looks at all of it. I'm much more inclined to go into the deeper work. But the difference between psychotherapy and counseling tends to be short-term problem solving.
Okay.
Like, I'm coming to you now and here's my current problem and I need you to teach me some skill sets to deal with that. Psychotherapy may look at that if there's a situational issue, but psychotherapy, for me and my approach, is to go into what the cause of that is. Is that a pattern that you're experiencing? Even though it's a situational problem, is it because it's part of a bigger cycle for you where this is a recurring theme that hasn't been addressed? And you could solve that problem and you may have more skill set now to solve that problem, but is it going to come back because you haven't dealt with the cause of it?
Right.
So cause of it would go into current family systems, family of origin, and inner child work, and long-term individual stuff that gets brought into the present because it's not resolved. So where the metaphysical and the psychological can cross over is... And granted, some of it really crosses over because it goes back into old Gestalt methods. Old Gestalt methods are very much into inner child work, using guided meditation, using empty chair techniques, psychodrama techniques. It's kind of like the people in the spiritual metaphysical realm have like taken those Gestalt things and kind of brought them in. So I use a lot of that stuff. And for me, it's imperative in the sense of helping people long term, because if you don't get to the root of it, you're just operating kind of blind in the world, if that makes sense. So, does that help? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a question about the, just, I have to read that again, but so it sounds like a really nice way to practice manifesting is to start with
Something small.
like maybe I'd like to see some owls somewhere in the
Yes,
house, and so I think I'm gonna try it
Yeah.
and see if I can see
You
something.
definitely, I mean, for me, it was interesting because when I picked the Ladybugs, I thought, is this just foolish of me? Because this is totally out of season for these ladybugs, right? So, but it, like you said, it's like, they're not going to die because they can hibernate in the house.
Right.
It was amazing, though, to watch how they just, like, crawled out of the woodwork like that.
Yeah. Cool.
So let me read this to you, but I know do you have all of them, or did I just give you the first
I have them all,
one? Okay,
yeah.
that's what I thought. Okay, so,
You might also wind up, even if you said hummingbirds, you might wind up seeing someone with a tattoo on a hummingbird.
Yeah,
Exactly.
maybe just seeing them on
T-shirt.
cards.
Yeah.
Or a shirt,
yeah, you have to be open to seeing it wherever.
Right.
So you can't, there's not about that
Lots of
preconceived
YouTube
notion.
videos.
Anything.
Like he's saying about the person dressed in red and black. So
Exactly.
it would be
Whatever
a human
whatever
being.
meaningful. Exactly. So the first, I'm looking at the reflections to see.
It's nice to mush.
Yeah.
Okay, let me read this to you.
Okay,
This
sure.
may be helpful, but you can go back and look it up in the chapter.
And you're in the first book?
I'm in the number 3.
Third book. Okay.
The third book, and it's 290 something. So
Okay.
it's toward like 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah, I can. Okay. Cool.
So this is the manifesting practice. This is the exercise. So go to your sacred space, and it talks. The chapter or volume 1 talks about creating a sacred space. Connect with what you desire to manifest. Now, let me categorize this. Talk about, and it's in the book, the difference between desire and wanting. Okay? Wanting is predicated on the idea that you don't have it, and it's of lack. Right? Desire is knowing that it's present even if it's not around yet, like even if it hasn't materialized yet. There's no lack in desire, but there is in wanting. So there needs to be a shift in your consciousness to that, right? So allow your awareness to open to what is fun and enjoyable, beginning with something simple based on desire, okay? Imagine in your mind's eye what you are manifesting. As you envision it, feel the love, gratitude, and admiration for this gift. Know as best as you are able that the universe provides as you give some time and space for the energy to manifest in form. Be patient and keep loving it. So it's when you connect with that loving aspect, that's like calling forth the divine aspect in whatever you're manifesting. You're connecting one divine aspect to another.
Is that like that fifth dimension thing?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
the altar of possibilities.
The altar of possibilities, and you're doing it through your creative power, right? You're pulling the energy out of the fifth dimension, essentially. Right, that's my words. I'm not saying that that's correct,
Yeah.
but that's how I envision it, right?
Okay.
Or I should say you're going up to the fifth dimension to access that, right?
Right.
So while holding your intent, be sure to allow room to witness your gift anywhere, on cards, books, in person, TV, etc. Like, don't limit the idea that it can show up anywhere. Your treasure may reveal itself anytime and any place. Dispel all negative thoughts and remain positive that all is as it should be, allowing the time and space for your desires to be revealed. And then journal your experience along the way, how you feel, your thoughts, what you believe as the journey unfolds. So it's like you're keeping track of it as you go through it.
Okay,
So, yeah. So it doesn't matter what it is. And, you know, even if it's out of season, it can still manifest all over the
Because
place.
sometimes we need that. I need that. Like that sounds like a good, just a little exercise, like for the little doubting Thomas in us all, where we're just kind of like, I just want to practice it this way, and then you're like, oh yeah, sure. You know, then
Yes. I think it's good too because it'll help you ground what that feels
to
like
know,
when you connect with that, and that
I recognize it.
Yeah, especially why I picked, like I said, I picked something that was not survival based, like something that I still knew that I had some attitude of lack around. It was like, if ladybugs show up or they don't, it's not going to like impact me one way or the other, right? So, yeah, so definitely. Did you have another
I had a question. Yeah. So do you, if you want to keep experiencing whatever you've manifested, do you keep feeding it, or do they just dissipate? You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
How long will they appear? Do you know what I mean? And for
they'll appear as long as you continue to keep that connected energy in it.
Yeah.
So if you get distracted and you don't continue to make that connection,
right,
and even feed it with gratitude, because gratitude always grows whatever your intentions are toward and the attention is toward, it can totally dissipate. So that can be a sign that you just kind of, your focus is kind of fallen away.
right.
So, yeah. And it takes, you have to remember you're in the physical plane.
Right.
So whatever it is, depending on how for it to materialize, remember that there may be a time factor.
Okay.
Because we have to give it some time. So that 2-day, 3-day window for ladybugs is more than reasonable, right? But also, again, it's like, I don't know what that time factor is going to be.
Yeah.
So I think our hardest or most challenging thing is maintaining the focus without clamping down on it. Because the clamping down on it can demonstrate an attitude of lack in some way, or some kind of fear. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then are you able, if you get skilled enough at doing this,
Mm-hmm.
is it possible to send that energy out to another person
To do what?
to bring some sort of joy or comfort, or, you know, if you can manifest something that somebody that you know and love would need, or something that they, you know, desire? You understand? Like,
I do understand what you're saying. You can help them in the process, but you are never going to be able to get in the way of any blockages that they may have themselves. So remember, they have free will. You can always help facilitate that for them, But they really need to be involved in the process because people are great at blocking their own gifts, so to speak, if that makes sense. Yeah. Peter, did you?
Well, I was just wondering,
Comments?
do you want to talk about how you use your intuition and reading skills within the psychotherapy?
Oh, in the clients. I don't know. Would that be helpful to you?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I can do that helps people, my feeling about it is that using the intuitive skills when people are blocked can be helpful for them to help bring that block to the foreground. It's definitely more helpful if they make that into their awareness. How I use it more so now is to be guided into what interventions might be more helpful for them. So that's the one thing I really like using is the guided meditations because they tend to bypass the conscious mind and we can get into all kinds of other aspects where people would be resistant to going.
Right.
So, yeah. Thanks. I didn't think about that. But, yeah. Well, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you for hosting this. I really
Certainly.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate you having open your story.